An unhappy truth has become very evident to me in the last few years, and that is that the United States effectively works as a prison farm. However, I had a new epiphany about that because this weekend I spent a number of days working on my Omega car to refinish it and repaint it, getting it ready for some new testing.
Hello and welcome to ScamCat's response video to Casey Putsch's latest video, Is the U.S. a Corporate Prison Farm? To break down what Casey is going to be discussing here, he's talking about first the education system, which he says is designed to trap youth in debt with useless degrees while universities hoard wealth. The automotive and energy industry, where regulations crush innovation, like his wonderful car that you see there that can get 100 miles per gallon and is ignored for political EVs. Then there's Big Pharma, where cures are buried, only symptom treating drugs are sold, and it just creates lifelong customers. Agriculture, where patent laws and GMO monopolies enslave farmers. Politics, which is just a criminal duopoly that protects elites, destroys accountability, and enriches lobbyists. So without further ado, I will let Casey go ahead and explain this to you.
Well, when you work on that for days and days, you think a lot and you find clarity. And the fact of the matter is, we don't just live in a prison farm, we're in a corporate prison farm. So I didn't mean any of that as hyperbole. It's just the simple truth of the matter. And with regard to thinking about that, I need to be building this watch. So forgive me while I actually get started here. Corporate prison farm. Well, I hate to even lead with that because I think a lot of people will immediately go into the United States is technically a corporation. Of course it's a prison farm. All right, well, let's just back up. And let me explain to you how I even came to that conclusion. This decade plus, I've spent doing the Genius Garage educational programs, picking up the slack where the American educational system leaves off. Boy, does it leave off. We're going to talk about that. Getting a lot of young people amazing jobs. Recently just helped one student get a job at Lockheed Martin, so really proud of him. I also did the Omega car, which I mentioned, you guys have seen, and recently was on Tucker Carlson and Andy Frischella's podcast speaking about just that. I have some other ones coming up soon. But where I'm going with this is, if you set out to make the world a better place by building something like a car that upends the world narratives politically, as well as showing up automotive industries and automobile manufacturers for not doing what they should be doing, as well as doing something that fixes and pinpoints the exact issues of the American educational system, you are going to learn every way in which our society is broken. You are going to learn every reason why it doesn't want to change. You'll be stymied from it changing, as well as understand everybody's perception thereof, everything relating to all of it. Which is a horrible, horrible experience, and I don't wish on any of you. And it's amazing. I don't have ulcers or something, but I'm wired differently. Anyway, in doing that, I've also been able to see and draw a lot of other parallels. So let's talk about that. Okay, American educational system. Here's where it breaks down in colleges. You got student loans that cannot be defaulted upon. And if you can't default upon a loan, and it's given to 17-year-old kids, for degrees that have no jobs, you just destroyed the future of our nation. You've destroyed these young people's lives and their families' lives for the future completely. So
We've covered education there, and now we'll go ahead and let Casey talk about Big Pharma.
Smaller companies and people and places and scientists that develop, and they just buy the rights to it. So any drug which is curative gets bought and shelved, never to see the light of effing day again. But what they will put out are the drugs, with little safety testing, I might add, that just treat symptoms. So you will be a customer forever. You will never get better, and they will only treat your symptoms. Does that not sound like a criminal enterprise to you? It does to me, at the very least, completely immoral. here's the other thing with regard to that. You want to fix the medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry? You have to think about this a little bit more, but let's think about big pharma companies. Let's pass a law that will make the C-suite people, or at least CEO of any pharmaceutical company, liable for manslaughter anytime a patient dies of an illness of which they have a bookshelf drug that is curative of it, or at least better than the symptom treating BS treatment or medicine that they provide. You know, all the stuff in secret that they don't show? Yeah, let's make them liable for manslaughter. Then you don't have somebody like Luigi Mangione acting on his own behalf. We can just hang him.
Guilty death by hanging.
Septimus. By the way,
Now, I would say there's probably not a strong legal basis for what Casey is suggesting here. However, it's hard to argue with the morality of what he's saying. So, let's go ahead and move on to where he talks about agricultural tyranny. I'm just going to move us up to where he starts talking about it. And
seeds, but you don't own that. You can't just plant the seeds you harvest in the future from its yield. You have to keep buying it because they own effectively the patents on the genetic structure of that plant. Now here's where it gets crazy. Let's say you've got somebody that uses their own seeds for corn in their own field, and they can legally, harvest like we did back in the olden days, right? All right, well, check this out. So if the field next to it has like a Monsanto seed in it, and, you have to pollinate corn to, hold on one sec, I gotta concentrate for a second. I should use different magnification. So if the seed, or if the corn from one of the owned places, the patented stuff, pollinates the crop that the old-timey farmer planted from their own seeds, well, that big old ag company can prove that they're now influenced by it because the genetic structure in the new seeds will relate to the ones that pollinated it. So guess who's aft into oblivion? Oh, the farmer that was doing his own thing. Yeah. Our industries are screwed, guys. The agriculture one goes on and on and on with government subsidies and everything.
Now, if you didn't catch it, what he's talking about here is that some of these big ag companies have a reputation for going after farmers after the pollen from their GMO crops blows onto other fields and quote unquote influences those other crops. And boy, it really seems like they should get sued for contaminating as opposed to being able to sue other people for supposedly using their GMO. But, well, you know the golden rule, whoever has the gold makes the rule. And I actually published on the patentability of living matter while I was in law school. And at the time, I was for it. And 15 years later, I would have to say that, while I was in school, like many, I probably didn't know a damn thing. But in any case, let's move on to the next section and the final section, which is political collapse.
We are, in fact, being ruled and led by criminals. They're all criminals. Many of them treasonous. And if you are, in fact, treasonous, you should be hung.
Guilty death by hanging.
That's what people do in a country. That's what our founding fathers would do. And frankly, that's what needs to be happening now. And I say that because we all realize that there is zero accountability for our politicians. No one is ever arrested. Nothing bad ever happens unless it's just somebody they want to get rid of. But it's never anything big. So they get to do anything they damn well please, while all of us make the money, pay the taxes, and are the idiot prisoners on our corporate slave farm so they can send their stupid money anywhere, our stupid money anywhere they want. Destroy the value of our currency, destroy the value of our property. Make it so that our kids will never own property because guess what? We're going to own nothing and like it. I will remind you something else, whether you like it or not. And then this is a reminder of fact and in no way a call to violence or arms. There are more firearms in this country than people. And we all know that. You do too. And the fact of the matter is, there's a whole lot of great stuff out there because we're the idiot prisoners on the corporate slave farm that make firearms irrelevant. Yeah. Because you take away the communication, how would anybody ever organize if they needed to do something together? So that's not going to be a problem, right? Besides, what do you need firearms for when you got people like Bill Gates just creating deadly viruses and making it so vaccines can be sprayed airborne or implemented into the genetic coding of our meats, etc. Medicate the prisoners. Cull the herd if need be. Right, Bill? You piece of shit. So guys, I think you're seeing this, right? What other industries am I forgetting about that exist? I only ever think about cars and stuff.
Well, Casey asked for some other ones, so for me, retail and law come to mind, and I would say manufacturing, but as he aptly pointed out earlier, we don't really have that. I'm not sure if that part made the video that I've made here, but in any case, get into the comments section and talk about other industries within the U.S. where corruption is just running rampant. And guys, if you can check out Casey's full video, if you've got 40 minutes, I recommend that you do it. It is a good watch. But with that, until next time, be well and stay vigilant.